try and make this as quickly as possible for you and painless. Our story today is about a 12-year-old girl who a long time ago just was in her room being 12, as 12-year-old girls are. And while she was in there being 12, a man came into her room and attempted to violate her. After a bit of a struggle, he succeeded in doing so. When the ordeal was over and passed, he then moved into the other bed in the same room to his sister and did the same thing there. And while he was doing that, our 12-year-old girl, feeling a mite distraught and wailing at the shock of what just happened to her, bawled her eyes out, crying at her heart out. And he then went over to her again and beat her around the head and committed the act again the second time with her. She tried to tell somebody about it, her mother, and what have you, and grown-ups around it. But in those days, children were taught to be seen and not heard. So if they mentioned something that they're not supposed to know anything about, it was a bunch of lies. So she got a hiding for telling lies. And those acts stayed with her throughout through the following months. And then finally, when she came to terms at the age of 13, she gave birth to her child. And when they saw who the child resembled, then they caught the culprit and threw him in jail. But before that happened, she got another hiding, because now it was her fault. And this carried on for a little while later, but a month after this ordeal, after the guy went to jail, in her distraughtness, she picked up her baby and she threw it into the river with an attempt to get rid of everything that associated to her ordeal. But there was an auntie there one time, at that time, consoling her with her husband. And that auntie dove into the river and fished the baby out of the river. And with the consent of her husband, took the baby home. And a year later, they legally adopted it as their own. It's that husband that was telling me this story nearly 50 years ago. It's taken me this long to remember what the details were. And it didn't stop there. The guy got 2 years imprisonment for his act, which, if I may just throw in there, it wasn't for rape or anything like that. It was contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I did not know what that meant. Because I don't think in those lines, I still don't know what it means. I only know that he didn't get what he deserved. He only got 2 years. That's not what he deserved. He deserved more as far as I was concerned. But years later, after that, beatings and carrying on, more rapes, she died at the age of 23, 10 years later, when she tried to escape from somebody out of a speeding car. And she died on impact when she hit the road. The thing I couldn't understand was that he got 2 years imprisonment for contributing to the delinquency of a minor. And she got 10 years of abuse, beatings, more violations. And it didn't stop there. It wasn't over yet. The man that gave the little baby his name, he also copped it from the family. They ousted him, didn't want to have anything to do with him because he interfered in something that wasn't his concern. But what they didn't get was that the lady that jumped in after the baby, she was the sister of the man that violated the 12-year-old girl. And they went away somewhere else and they lived somewhere else in Waimana, I believe. And they were there. And throughout the times that they communed backwards and forwards to the family, the baby grew up abused, not just mentally abused. You know, get away from me, you little mongrel, or those sort of things. That's kind of abuse. I apologise for the language. I'm not versed on how to be delicate. And this continued for a long while. As the child was growing up, the lady that adopted the baby, she was hated by the rest of the family, all her brother's family, what have you, and she got just as much abuse as well. The baby was thrown away. They threw the baby away, and it wasn't the mother's fault. Yet she was the one that did it. But I don't know how to interpret that. But he grew up. This child grew up like that, and with all of this running through his head, it's no wonder the path that he took was downhill, drugs, alcohol. He was probably the biggest thief that you'd ever heard of. You might have heard about him. I think I told him about that last time, didn't you? By the way, that 12-year-old girl was my mother. And baby she threw in the river was me. So our subject today is about mercy. I was 1 month old when the Lord showed me mercy. It took me nearly 50 years to figure out what that meant. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't because of His mercy. I wouldn't be able to have the nerve to come, because I couldn't talk in front of people. I sing because I can't talk. Now I can't sing because I talk too much. So Graham's probably the only one here that knows what that means, really. And this is His mercy. This is His mercy. This is the mercy that He showed me. And you all know this, but I'm just here to clarify that His mercy is real. His mercy is real, and His mercy freed me from all those anxieties, all those guilts that I was shown, all of those problems that I had to grow up with as a child. And His mercy freed me from all of that. Now I hope these fellas here can yodel. And it goes like this. For so long I searched for life's meaning, enslaved by the world and its greed. Then the doors of my prison were opened by love, for the ransom was paid. Now I'm free. I'm free from my fear of tomorrow. I'm free from the guilt of my past. Oh, I've traded my shackles for a glorious song. Now I'm free, praise the Lord, free at last. Well, I am free from this guilt that I've carried, from that vast empty life I'm set free. For when I met Jesus, He made me complete. He forgot the foolish child I used to be. I'm free from my fear of tomorrow. I'm free from the guilt of my past. Oh, I've traded my shackles for a glorious song. I'm free, praise the Lord, free at last. Oh, I've traded my shackles for a glorious song. I'm free, praise the Lord, free at last. Thank you, God.